Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jeff Stanislow, and it's time to go low with Let's Go Low, the Jeff Stanislow Show brought to you by Golfers Unite. We are very blessed today to have a friend that I've gotten to know over the last, well, not that long, to be honest with you, but our chemistry is like it's been a long time. So I'd like to welcome Mike Hicks, who's going to join us from Mike Hicks Golf. Mike, if you don't know, is worked on the famous caddy for Payne Stewart. So, Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. Good to be here, and looking forward to this segment every week.
Yeah. So, Let's Go Low show is new to AM 820 and to the rest of the channels that we're going to put it on. Mike is committed to work with us on creating the caddy corner, and the caddy corner is going to be behind the ropes talk about the tour, what's going on, talk about products, talk about things that we're doing. Mike has been around the golf for a couple of years, right? You're relatively new.
Yeah, I was out there just a little bit, 42 years, so just a little while.
All right, well, we'll call that qualified. So, all right.
Sounds good.
So, behind the ropes, or the caddy's corner is going to bring you different insight from golf. And we're really excited to have Mike on, and Mike's going to be here every week with us. And sometimes he's going to bring in some special guests, maybe to fill in for him. Maybe some of his friends that he used to caddy with. So we got some really exciting news. So, Mike, take us back a little ways, which now maybe feel like it's way back, and tell us a little story about how you started working with Payne and just your evolution into golf.
Well, I got to know Payne. He turned pro, I think, in '82. I started in '81. And I used to travel with the guy that went to work for him. The guy's name was Rob Kay. He was from Canada. So Rob and I were same age, teenagers. We were both about 19 years old. And so I got to know Payne through Rob. And as the years went on, I think we're in 1987, Payne let Rob go. And we were in Japan. I was over in Japan with Curtis Strange, and Payne was playing in the tournament. And he brought this guy over from Jacksonville, Florida. I'll never forget it. The guy's name was Tim Davies, and he'd never caddied before in his life. And he was, I think he might have been an assistant club pro. But anyway, he shows up, and he's in full gear, knickers. He's got the knickers. He's got the Hogan hat on. He's got the socks. He's got it all. He shows up to work that day dressed like that, and we're going, I don't know if that's going to last. I don't know if this Payne's going to. And it was unbeknownst to Payne. He had no idea he was going to show up like that. But anyway, I went up to Payne, and I said, look, I was only working with Curtis it was two of us, myself and a guy named Don Wanstall, who's from Jacksonville, that were working with Payne, with Curtis. I worked half the tournaments, and Donnie worked half the tournaments. But it seemed like every time Curtis went out of the country, he took me. So we're in Japan. So I went to Payne, and I said, hey, if this guy doesn't work out, I'd like a shot at the bag. Because I wanted something full-time. Because when I didn't caddy for Curtis, I was having to find work. And this guy lasted about a month. Payne came to me, and it said, hey, you want to give it a shot? We'll go 4 weeks and see how it goes. And 4 weeks turned into 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, just a quick question back on the grind of being a caddy. Like you said, they split times between the players, things of that nature. You may not be working on a tournament. You may not work. It's quite a grind to get there, huh?
Well, it is. Back in those days, though, there were more players than caddies. So when I started, there were 60 of us that caddied week to week. You had 60 exempt players. And there were 60 guys that traveled week to week. I shouldn't say 60. I'd say there's 70 of us that traveled week to week. So it was easy to get work. You could always work. The first couple of years I was out there, I think I worked every tournament, maybe other than the Masters and in a major somewhere, British Open. I didn't work the British Open until 1985, I think was my first one. But if it was in the United States, I caddied in it. So it was easy to get work. And Curtis was, Curtis was unusual. Curtis didn't like one guy every week. So that's why he split. That's why
like
he
his
split.
putter or his driver or whatever wasn't working, right?
Yeah, so that's why he split time with a couple of different guys, and I happened to be lucky enough to be one of them, because Curtis was, back in those days, he was considered, one of the best in the world, and I think he might have even gotten to number one in the world later in the '80s. But and that's how I got to know the real good players. That's how I got to, to meet the Watsons and the Normans and the all the great players back in that era, because you're paired with them. So you get to meet them, you get to see how they play, you get to know them. So once that happened for me, then, and then I hooked up with Payne, had all my success with him. You build a reputation. So it was a lot easier to get jobs back then, but now there's more people trying to caddy than there are jobs. So, and especially now that they cut it down to 100. And the word on the street is by 28, there's only going to be 20 PGA Tour events, $20 million tournaments. So, they're really going to dumb the tour down. If all that comes to fruition, which, who knows what's going to happen. But it was easy to get work when I first started.
Yeah, so this is Jeff Stanislow. You're listening to Let's Go Low Show here on AM 820 and all over the internet. We're talking with Mike Hicks from Mike Hicks Golf. Mike is the former caddy for Payne Stewart. Just kind of gave us a little backstory on getting hooked up with Payne. So you got on his bag. It's early in the career, and Payne is playing some golf and what have you. And then you had some epic moments. Take us through that a little bit.
Well, when I got the job, we top 10'd, I think, those 4 weeks. He got right there, but he could not finish the tournament. And that was his MO. He was a money machine, but he couldn't win. And his wife Tracy talked him into going to see a sports psychologist, which Payne was one of the first. It might have been the first professional golfer that ever went to a sports psychologist. And he went to see Dr. Richard Koop, who is the sports psychologist at the University of North Carolina. And I lived in Hillsborough, North Carolina, which is 8 miles from the University of North Carolina. So when Payne would come up to work with Dr. Koop, we would go to Hope Valley Country Club in Durham and do the session. So I got to sit in on all what he was trying to get Payne to do. Long story short, if Payne hadn't gone to see and gotten help mentally with his golf game, who knows what would have happened in his career. But Dr. Koop gave him a pre-shot routine, gave him the ability to focus what was very close to him as like an intermediate target as opposed to what is in front of him. And it worked for him. And, 3 majors later, and I don't know how many career wins, probably 10 wins, 11 wins later. He had a great career cut short. Yeah.
Again, Jeff Stanislow, Let's Go Low here on AM 820. We are, really excited to talk to Mike Hicks, who's going to be on board with us every week for the show, talking about From the Caddy's Corner. We're talking a little bit about the story with Payne Stewart and, Mike, the 99 Open. Walk us through that. Walk us through that epic victory, that iconic photograph of you and Payne, and that putt photograph is just iconic. What was that feeling like?
Well, it was obviously they call it one moment in time, and it really was one moment in time. Now that it turns out with him dying, a few months later, but that whole week, so we played in Memphis. We missed the cut. I flew home Friday night back to Raleigh, back to North Carolina, and Payne flew in on Saturday morning. And he got there, I don't know, in the afternoon, but I think he flew Saturday morning. He got there in the afternoon, and he walked around with his swing coach, Chuck Cook, with a putter and a sand wedge, and they just chipped and putted around the greens. By the time they got there, I had already been to Pinehurst and done all my yardages and walked the course and had gone back home. Sunday morning, I meet him for our first practice round, and we get out on the third hole, third tee, and walking down two fairway, Chuck and Payne are in front of myself and Dick Coop. Dick Coop had joined us for the practice round, his psychologist, and he said, "What's going on?" And I said, "Well, he's not picking his intermediate target out." And he hasn't been picking it out for the last 3 tournaments. So we get on the third tee, and Payne pulls his 2-iron out. He's over the ball, and all of a sudden he hears Dick go, "Where's your intermediate?" And Payne backed off and went, "Okay." So from that shot on, in that first practice round, he got back into picking the intermediate target out. And to this day, I believe that's why he won the tournament, because it brought his focus back to where he was best, which was an intermediate target, focusing on that and forgetting what was out in front of him. And he putted, he putted great that week with the Seymour.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, it is. It's like you kind of like you look at hockey with the goalie in near the finals and the playoffs. The hot goalie can ride the whole team to victory, and
100%.
same with the putter. So Mike Hicks from Mike Hicks Golf, part of the Caddy Corner here on the Let's Go Low show with Jeff Stanislow and Golfers Unite. Mike, we're gonna talk briefly a little bit about a piece of equipment. This is how we got connected. It's called the ArcMaster. So you saw this and flew to the United Kingdom to see the inventor. Tell us a little bit about that quickly.
So I got an email from the ArcMaster people just out of the blue. I think I'd ordered some sort of a device from over there, training device for my son. He was playing college golf at the time. And so I think that's how they got my email. And I opened this email and I saw this thing, and then I watched a video that they had and immediately called the inventor owner, Mark Vickers. And we talked for 2 hours on WhatsApp. Wasn't a a charge call. We were on an app. But anyway, we talked for a couple hours, and then few weeks later, I flew over there and got on this thing, and I was like blown away. It's the only product out there that teaches muscle memory. You have your arc boards and all that stuff, but you have to create tension to keep that putter on the arc board. This thing, you just grip your putter and make your stroke, and it freely swings. So it can cure lots of problems if you have problems with your putting. For me, when I first got on it, and I'm a good putter, I've always been a good putter, but I hadn't been putting very good for a couple of months. And it showed me that I was blocking my putts and that I was trying to move my lower body. So basically I was looking up. So I started, staying in the putt, feeling the release of the putter. And while I was like, you know what, this is the real deal. It is going to revolutionize how people learn to putt and practice putting. Yeah.
So you can check this out at Mike Hicks Golf, and you can always put links up on golfersunite.com/radio. We're going to talk more about the ArcMaster. We're going to talk more about Payne. We're going to talk more about the tour and things that are going on with Let's Go Low show with Jeff Stanislow. Mike, one quick thing before we go. Tell us a little bit about your website. What's the address so people know how to reach out to you if they need to reach out to you?
It's MikeHicksGolf.com. Very simple.
Okay.
Yeah, MikeHicks.com. Yeah.
I'll put the link again at golfersunite.com/radio. We're going to be doing a lot of great things with Let's Go Low show. Probably be out at the Valspar. I hope to make it out to Orlando for the Arnold Palmer there at Bay Hill. We're going to be behind the ropes and a lot of different things. Golfers Unite, you can check out our social handles at When Golfers Unite on Instagram and TikTok. So we're doing a lot of great things, putting together partnerships, working with brands, talking to companies. Spent the week at the PGA show, and a lot of fruit is coming. And everybody seems to want to talk about their brand products and opportunities that they got going on in the world of golf. So Mike will be back with us here in the next segment. We're going to dive into a little bit more of that stuff as well. All right. Thanks. This is Jeff Stanislow. It's time to Let's Go Low. All right. We're back. This is Jeff Stanislow from Let's Go Low here on AM 820 in Tampa. We're really excited about the things that we're talking about. We spent the first segment of our show is called Caddie's Corner. And my guest with us here today is Mike Hicks, the famed caddy with Payne Stewart. In the first episode, we got a chance to talk to Mike about, just getting into the golf industry, kind of caddying and what happened. It was kind of interesting that caddying nowadays is more of a grind than it was in the past. Mike Hicks from Mike Hicks Golf, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back, Jeff.
Yes, thanks again, Mike, for coming in. I'm really excited. I'm getting, I put some posts up on my social channels about doing the show, you being a part of it, and I just got such great feedback from people, and that's awesome, fired up, way to go, because even in the world today, when you say, hey, I'm going to do a radio show, people are like, oh man, why are you going to do a radio show? It's podcasting, it's social media. Well, we're going to do all that stuff too. But what they don't know in the power of radio is that AM 820 and its sister station, AM 1040, reaches about 5 million people in the Tampa area. What a grind to get your podcast to 5 million people. Hey, Mike?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, listen, there's still a lot of us that listen to radio.
Yes.
Me being one of them. So there's still a lot of radio listeners out there. Especially our age group. I enjoy my radio.
I do too.
Sports talk, I enjoy, love it.
Good. Well, we're glad to have you here. In our first episode, we talked a little bit about getting in with Payne and getting on the bag, and you mentioned that he was one of the first athletes probably to bring on a sports psychologist and work on some stuff. And one of the things that he had him working on was the intermediary spot.
Yeah.
I'm a golfer, you know what I mean? I love the sport and what have you. I've never heard of that. Can you maybe dive in a little bit? What is the intermediary spot?
So if you watch, Jack started it, and it was more of an aiming tool for him, because obviously mentally the greatest golfer ever to play the game, arguably. I mean, Tiger's in that
sure,
in that camp too, but Jack invented it. And then if you go back, after Nicklaus, if you go back and you look at all the greats since Nicklaus, Curtis did it, Falda, they all do it now, pretty much. They pick their intermediate out. It's for ball or club alignment, your body alignment. Payne used it for both those things, but he used it also. He knew that if the ball started over the spot that he was where he was aiming out where he wanted this ball to start ahead of him, if its ball started over that spot, even if he had a draw spin or a cut spin on the ball, it was going to be fine. Okay. Mm-hmm. So he'd say he didn't square it up. He fanned it a little bit. It wasn't going to go out of play. or if he overhooked it, it was not going to go ever out of play if the ball started over that spot. And for him, focusing on that spot, like I said last week, took away the visual of the water or the OB or the bunkers, whatever trouble was ahead of him. Okay.
Right.
That was his MO back when I first started working for him. If there was trouble, he was playing away from it and way away from it. And then you get, and if you get, down the stretch with 4 or 5 holes to go and you're trying to win a tournament and that's your thought process, you're not going to win. So that's what it did for him, is he knew that if he started that ball over that spot, that even if he put some kind of funky spin on it, it was not going to go out of play. And like I said, it made him focus there as opposed to what was ahead of him. So that's what it's for. That's what it's for.
That's awesome. Thanks for tuning in. This is Jeff Stanislow. It's Let's Go Low, brought to you by Golfers Unite and Mike Hicks Golf. We're talking with Mike Hicks. We're talking about golf. We're talking about working with Payne Stewart. So, I mean, obviously the 99 Open was iconic and what have you. But just, the emotions that went through, with you, your family, Payne's family, in winning and going on that major streak. Now tell us a little bit about, like, I'm sure it was surreal and hard to describe, but, anything story that sticks out with you in particular?
Well, it really dated back to 98. Payne had just gotten done with a contract with Spalding Top Flight, 5-year contract, where he struggled with their ball, their equipment. Now, I'm not putting it all on that, but it was different than what he was used to playing. And in 99, he came out with no club deal, no ball deal, nobody owned Payne Stewart. He played what he wanted. It's back to a Titleist golf ball, blade irons, Mizuno irons. I think we had a Titleist driver, Mizuno 3-wood. He was playing the clubs he wanted to play. This is 99, but 98, Spalding finally came out with a blade he could play. And their ball, they finally had gotten a good ball, a decent ball that didn't spin too much. And we almost won that Olympic Club. We led the whole week until Lee Jansen won on Sunday. But what that did is it proved to him that he could still do it, right? That he could still contend in a major and have an opportunity to win. So the 99 U.S. Open was a product of what he had accomplished in 98 at the U.S. Open. I truly believe that. And then with 99, when he comes back out and he's got everything that he wants to play with, the equipment wise, that just put his confidence way up. And we played great that year. We won at Pebble, lost in a playoff at Hilton Head, and that's going into the U.S. Open in June. So he had played great golf leading up to the U.S. Open, even though he had missed the cut prior to. And I said this to him on Sunday in the first practice round. He's like, you know what? You didn't do a very good job last week. And I said, well, I think we both were thinking ahead to this week. And he looked at me and he said, yeah, you're right. So, even though he missed the cut at Memphis, we both knew he was playing well. And like I said, that one little mental thing that he hadn't been doing lately, which he had just kind of taken for granted in his routine, he got back to that. And I think that just took his focus to another level, and that's why he won.
Right. Mike Hicks Golf. This is Jeff Stanislow. You're listening to the Let's Go Low show, brought to you by Golfers Unite here on AM 820. So, we're talking about the epic moments with Payne Stewart. And, one of the things that you mentioned, I kind of want to circle back, is the importance of putting. He was working with Seymour putters at the time. And you said that he caught fire on the putter, and we talked about, like, just people and teams that catch fire at the end when you need to catch fire. And we touched briefly on a company called the ArcMaster that we're doing some business with. that you felt like if any junior out there is playing golf right now and they can get their hands on this thing, they can be a world-class putter? What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So if I've had two of my three sons play college golf. I wish this thing had been around when they were growing up, because this thing can develop the muscle memory that you need to perfect a golf putting stroke. Listen, this thing is a brain trainer. It's not a putting aid. Your brain controls the muscles. So you're training your muscles to recreate a perfect stroke. I mean, this thing can literally, if you do enough reps on it, you can train your muscles to make a perfect stroke. Now, does that mean you're going to make putts? It does if you can read the putt and you can develop touch and speed. But as far as mechanically becoming a great putter and having a great stroke, this thing is a no-brainer for any junior golf to train on.
Yeah. And the ArcMaster, Pro is kind of designed for the teaching instructor, the academy, the colleges. I believe you got it in Wolford right now, if that's right, Mike?
I do. I have it at Wofford and I have it at Lynchburg College. Yeah, there's a couple of colleges that have it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're just coming off the PGA show where they got a little exposure, and we're working now, and we're getting some great feedback on the equipment, and so we're really excited about that. If you want to learn more about the ArcMaster, you can go to golfersunite.com/radio, or you can go to MikeHicksGolf.com and reach out, and we'll have some more information on the ArcMaster as well. It's just a fantastic product. I'm really excited to bring it to market with you, and especially with you, Mike. Moving forward, we're going to kind of talk a little bit more probably in our next episode about what's going on in the world of golf, the shifts that are going on. You mentioned it could be 20 events for $20 million each by the PGA. We know they're shrinking the field already with events and trying to create the signature events versus others. We're shrinking the field of players that are going to be able to have tour cards.
Yeah.
That's probably a big conversation for us to dissect in another episode. So make sure you guys tune in Saturday mornings, AM 820 at 8 a.m. here on the Big 8 Radio. Mike Hicks from Mike Hicks Golf is going to be our Caddy's Corner. And we look forward to just having Mike back on a weekly basis, talking golf, talking equipment, talking the business. But before we got a little bit more time, Mike, I just kind of wanted to get your feedback briefly on what you're seeing in golf today. I mean, you're in tune with it, and maybe compared to how similar something might have been back in your day.
So back in my day, it was all about rhythm, tempo, not trying to overpower things, keep the ball in play, hit it straight. And the game has just gone to, speed, which, listen, everybody's bigger, stronger, faster in every sport. And to me, as a golf fan now, I love watching guys. The shot Bryson DeChambeau hit at the 6th hole at Bay Hill over that water. And, I've caddied that hole, 100 times. And you can't fathom that is
just
possible.
shock and awe, just raw shock and awe.
It really is the greatest shot I've ever witnessed. I wasn't there, but I was watching it on TV, and I like that stuff. And I think the average golf fan enjoys watching birdies and watching exciting, people scoring, people driving it 300-400 yards. I think the only tournament that we don't want to see that from a purist standpoint is a U.S. Open. Which the USGA went down in a rabbit hole for about 3 or 4 years, where they went to these places and, all of a sudden, you got like at LA North when they, a couple of 62 shot in the first round. I don't think that's what a U.S. Open is all about. And I think we saw that. We've seen that they've brought it back to to a very challenging event. At least we've seen that the last couple of years, and I think they're going to stay with that model. At least I hope they do.
Right.
But I enjoy watching the guys hit it a mile, making birdies, and I'm not for this, bringing the ball back and making it go shorter, and I'm not for that. Listen, every sport has evolved over time, and golf's evolving. I mean, I just I don't agree with some of the powers that be, their decision making
Right.
Listen, for the average golfer, is bringing back the ball going to make that big a difference? No, absolutely not. No.
All right, we're talking with Mike Hicks, Mike Hicks Golf. Mike was Payne Stewart's caddy. He is going to be featured on the Let's Go Low show here with Jeff Stanislow, powered by Golfers Unite, and Mike Hicks Golf. Going to be talking about all things golf every week here, Saturdays, 8 a.m. on AM 820. Mike, we got another minute or two, and like you mentioned, just the sheer power and evolution of the game, and like trying to make changes to finesse it and what have you. I'm kind of in the same camp as you are, and I think as a fan most people are too, is like, if they can hit the ball, let them hit the ball. If they can, if they want to exercise and work out and get strong and swing fast, and that's a benefit to them. It's not necessarily the equipment. Yeah, the equipment's better, the ball's better, but the athlete in the gym 6 days a week and working on speed training, things that that nobody ever did before.
Yeah, nobody did that back in the day. I mean, Payne was really one of the first guys that worked out too, because he had degenerative disc in his back, and he was told that his core had to be really strong. So he could play, because of the degenerative disc. But so he took good care of his body. He was in the gym. He was one of few that did that kind of stuff back in the the 80s, early 90s. Tiger changed it all. I mean, Tiger changed the whole dynamic of the professional golfer.
He did.
That's why we're where we're at today. It was because of him.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about all these players and the changes and stuff like that. But to end it, it's like nobody wants to go see the 1-0 baseball games.
No, that's right. That's exactly. Once a year. Hey, we want to see it once a year. That's at the U.S. Open.
There you go. There you go. All right. This is Jeff Stanislow, and you're listening to Let's Go Low. Appreciate you guys tuning in. AM 820. Our special guest, Mike Hicks from Mike Hicks Golf. Going to be joining us on a weekly basis on the Caddy's Corner. Mike, thanks a lot. And until next time.
All right, Jeff. Thanks.